Let's talk about coded language on social media, why people use it, how it evolves, and why it can be dangerous. Analysis has recently found that coded hashtags on TikTok allow users to access potentially harmful videos promoting things such as restrictive eating or thinspo content. Research by the Centre for Countering Digital Hate has found that the hashtags still on the platform have amassed billions of views. I talked to Edward from Beat, which is the UK's leading eating disorder charity.
Is Beat worried about coded language on social media protecting and hiding content that promotes disordered eating behaviours?
So yeah, we have concerns in terms of the impact to our beneficiaries, and I think there's challenges that people face, and also in terms of how with infinite scrolling, that kind of what people are being presented is quite risky in terms of promoting harmful behaviours, and also encouraging people that are unwell to be communicating with each other as well, and so we know that the eating disorders do have a competitive nature to them. I think TikTok and how it works has specific concerns. A world where that there's support out there for people that are struggling, and that looking at education as well in terms of giving young people the tools to live in an online world and to be able to navigate what they're coming across.
Although social media sites do often take down this content when it's found, constantly evolving language and coded hashtags means that it's hard to keep track of, and it's even harder for users to block or avoid.
Is enough being done by social media companies and the government to regulate this content?
I think social media companies do need to be more aware of the impact that their content on their platforms is having. Social media isn't the only reason why people will get an eating disorder, so it's important to factor that in, but it can be a trigger point for somebody that was susceptible. So I think it's important that there are stronger mechanisms to prevent that content being presented to someone in the first place. So our helpline's open till midnight every day of the year. We'd always encourage people to get in touch.
On TikTok, sex turns to segs, and no, people aren't all just awful spellers. They're spelling it this way on purpose to get around restrictions, and social media companies are struggling to keep up with it all. Now, there are so many reasons that this coded language is used. In January in Brazil, a code word was used to invite people to a riot over what they thought was a rigged election. An invitation to attend Selma's party was shared in groups and chats, and a few days later, thousands of people stormed Brazil's Congress, Supreme Court, and Presidential Palace. Selma is a play on the word selva, which means jungle in Portuguese, and is also used by the Brazilian military as a greeting or as a war cry. Words really do have power.
And do you think there's a way in which coded language on social media could perhaps have a positive impact in terms of creating perhaps a community where people who are struggling with an eating disorder can talk about recovery and ask for help, or are there too many, variables when it comes to that?
Well, I think that's where the balance lies, in the sense that social media can be a positive space for people, and there are communities out there that are very encouraging and supportive, and does allow people to see that there is hope and there are ways out of of very difficult situations. And so I think kind of it is finding that balance where if there are positive messages going out there, then that is important. We know from people we work with that they say seeing somebody that's gone through it and come out the other side is really helpful in giving that hope. I guess the challenge there is that then even very well intended content can still have triggering parts to it.
In China, social media posts referencing June the 4th, which is the anniversary of the Tiananmen Square crackdowns, they were banned. So instead, people started using the term May 35. And this technique was used way before social media. Back when homosexuality was illegal in the UK, those who identified as such used a secret slang called Polari to communicate. So it's not a new thing. Symbolism to avoid censorship is as old as the human race. Sometimes coded language can be strong and empowering, like when it's used to avoid things like political censorship. In many cases though, when it's used to share content that can be harmful and distressing, it can be the complete opposite. But when it comes to coded hashtags hiding content about things such as eating disorders, it raises the question, if language is constantly evolving, is there anything we can do to stop it?